Co-ople Mode, a couple's opinion on gaming. I'm Matt.
I'm Rose.
And we're off-world. We're not on Super Earth anymore. Killing bugs, killing automatons, having ourselves a literal blast, sometimes in body parts. And we're going to move on to our next game. How you feeling about that?
Not very excited.
You're like, I need
2 more weeks of Helldiver, please.
When I don't like the game, I only want 1 week, and when I like the game, I want more
2
weeks.
months. Not even 2 months.
Just 1 month, so at least 1 month, yeah. So
I just don't know what to expect. I have no idea.
I actually, I was...
And it's going to be a hard switch, like to go from a shooter to anything else.
Yeah.
Thing. I like that we get to dive into different categories of games, but it can make it hard to change.
Yeah, you kind of have to change my brain pathways, when you jump on. I think this one will be easier to jump into because of what you played in the past, and it's something you can sneak in there, and it might get its hooks in you.
If it's an RPG, I'm going to throw a chair and leave.
We're playing Final Fantasy 1. No, I'm not. No, I wouldn't do that. That is not the Final Fantasy game I would start you on.
I'm not doing those games. I refuse.
I think you'd like Tactics.
I'm not doing them. I refuse.
Make my stubborn side come
That's a hard line. Respect my boundaries.
Okay. I will respect
I don't want to talk about Final Fantasy.
Oh, funny. All right. The game you are going... Oh, my goodness. The game you're going to be playing is Slay the Spire. Now, do you know what this game is?
I remember that name.
Yeah.
I know you played it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't picture it in my head at all.
All right. Well, let me say this. It is a roguelike deck building game.
Oh, okay, cool. I can do that.
Yeah. So you
I'll stop being sassy now.
Yes, it is along the lines of Monster Train and even Inscyption. You're going to recognize things that both those games pull.
Okay, I have seen you play this.
Yes, you definitely have. It is published by a company, developed by a company called Megacrit. And after their initial release on Mac and PC, they were published by Humble Bundle for the console releases of this game. Now, do you remember who Humble Bundle is?
Yeah.
You've seen me use it?
Yeah.
For those who haven't, and I probably have mentioned it before on, I can't tell you which episode, but Humble Bundle is essentially a kind of a charity website. So developers and publishers will give their games to let you set a price for a bundle of games. So, and then you get to decide how much of the money that you give goes to a charity of your choice from the ones they have, Humble Bundle itself to keep it going, and the developers. I usually do an even split, and you can choose how much you want to pay. And they've done things like help out with like earthquake release. There was a big one during that was sent to help out Ukraine. I feel really good about buying games through Humble Bundle because it does do more than just help the developers. And they do have their own store now too, where you can purchase things through them. But I usually wait out for a good bundle that I want, and then I get it. And that's how I've been able to get my Steam list as big as it is mostly through Humble Bundle. They have also published games like Wizard of Legend, a great roguelike game. And I can't believe I kind of spaced on this one. It was one of my favorites. It is so fun. Superland, and the most recent ones they published are Coral Island, which is kind of like Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley-esque, but 3D. And While the Iron's Hot, which was a cute little blacksmithing game that I played recently that I actually really enjoyed. Now, Slay the Spire was released early access for Windows and Mac late 2017, and it was fully released in January of 2019. And then over the next 2 years, it has come out for every system since. It came out for PlayStation 4, Switch, Xbox, iOS, and Android in that order. It was like, okay, it's out for PlayStation, 2 months. Okay, it's out for Switch, 2 months. Okay, it's out. Like, they really just sped it out the door. But I do kind of appreciate they took the time to, like, let's get each one right. And then they sent it out. The Metacritic scores sit between 85 and 89, with PC being the highest.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's like you did play Monster Train both on the Xbox and the PC, right? Or
just the Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's something about with the card games, it's just kind of satisfying to be able to click the card and put like, you know, like just control wise, it kind of feels good that way to me anyways.
I don't know. It maybe. That's hard to say because I always play Inscyption on the PC.
Yeah.
I always played Monster Train on the Xbox. I don't think that bothered me so much. There's just different benefits to having the different ones on different systems.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of nice to have it on the Xbox because you can just boom, I'm in it. But at the same time, it's kind of nice on the PC too if you want to like get some time away from every male in your house and hide. And you just go up in the dark cave upstairs with the PC. You know?
Oh, I'm gonna go do glass. Take the laptop downstairs.
Oh no, then I'm focused on glass. It's two different things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, now I hide in the basement a lot.
Sometimes, yeah.
I'm always hiding.
On Steam, Slay the Spire is sitting at overwhelmingly positive for 97% out of 129,000 users.
That's pretty good.
Think this game's great.
To me, I think if you have a good Steam rating like that, you're a pretty good game. Because people on Steam get ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
They will freaking review bomb you if you do something they don't like.
They get pissy, huh?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you've already paid for there's two ways you can affect developers. One is you can voice your opinion with your money, and that's harder for people to control, especially if they thought it was going to be something else and they already paid for it, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can voice your opinion over social media, which can be ignored. But if you review bomb it, I mean, like that actually affects sales and affects algorithms of your game showing up, because all of a sudden you're mostly negative. Like that can be a big impact for some people, and like they got to do something about it. I mean, part of me understands, and the other part is sometimes they've review bombed games for stupid reasons. So it should be a power that us as consumers should use responsibly, is what I want to say about that.
I mean, you're always going to get that one guy that's like, there's no real random dice rolls in Dicey Dungeons. And luckily the rest of the community was like, mathematically you're wrong and here's why. But, you know, you're always going to have those people.
I 100% completed the game. It sucked. -0.
I really suck at this game. It sucks to suck, bud.
Yeah, right. Get good.
Me too. You don't see me typing up a whole novel complaining about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the Dark Soul forums and say this game is shit. Yeah. All you will play it are shitheads.
That's horrible.
Oh goodness. So
couldn't get past the first boss.
So according to Megacrit, when they first released this game in early access, it was like really slow. They only sold like 2,000 copies in the first few weeks, right? And which is like hard because like usually that's when games sell the most.
Do their best.
Yeah, right? So they gave some redemption keys to streamers to try to like get more traction.
Sure.
And it wasn't until there was a certain Chinese streamer who featured the game on their channel, and they had 1 million views at the time, and then that sales just skyrocketed then. So as of, what was it? I think 2018, 2019, Slay the Spire. Oh yeah, 2019 March. They have reached over 1.5 million in sales now. So like they've sold a hell of a lot of games.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice to see that. And one of the things that I thought was interesting about that I read was like, hey, you know, Helldivers was talking about streamers playing their game, and they're watching these streams.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, streamers are not going to hold back about how they feel about a game because they play so much, right? And like, they don't know you're lurking in their, in their chat. Yeah. And they actually take those things to heart because like, you'll see how many people are agreeing with them, or like, You know, it's a good way to keep track of how people really feel about your game. Because, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm not always running to forums to write about how I feel about games.
You have to be pretty upset to do that, don't you? I don't know.
That's the thing. You're usually really upset or you really, really like it. I don't know. I'm not in that vibe. All right, back to Slay the Spire. They've been nominated for numerous awards over the couple years after their full release. You know, they were nominated for Best Indie Game, PC Game of the Year, Most Innovative Gameplay, Excellence in Design. But they were only nominated for those awards, but IGN named it the Best Strategy Game of 2019, and PC Gamer gave it the Best Design in 2019. IGN later ranked it as one of the best 25 PC games from the past decade.
Wow.
That's how, you know, and, you know, I really think it's one of those people, you should give it a try. And it's kind of funny that I had you try Monster Train first. I like both those games, and I think I said this in the Monster Train. I love Slay the Spire, and I love Monster Train. I think I lean towards Monster Train a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the art style in Monster Train kind of appeals to me, and like the story, I think it's kind of interesting, you know? But they're both good, and you can see like the baseline and the build out of this format, right? And it's just good. It's fun to like, I got to build my deck on the fly, and I hope I get something good, and you can make some synergy happen, and it feels so good when you get that combo and it just works for you, right? And that's what this game has in spades. They also do have a board game that's getting made right now. Slay the Spire is, and that one is up to 4 players cooperative.
Okay.
I've seen screenshots of like the board and stuff like that. I think it's supposed to be coming out this year sometime. Okay. You know, they've been working on it, but that's kind of cool because we were talking about, man, I wish there was like a board game version of this one because it's so good. Like Inscyption, we were talking about.
Inscyption is the one I'd really love to be able to just play.
Yeah, they definitely I think they put it on they did a crowdfunding campaign and they reached their goal in like 6 minutes when they first announced this. Yeah. Which is just kind of insane. It's like, oh, it's instantly there. You don't even have to think about it. So it's cool to think about. They wanted to fuse a roguelite with a card building game, and apparently a board game called Dominion is a popular deck building game, which made me like, oh man, we should almost look into that because we love board games around this house. They were inspired by this old collectible card game called Netrunner, which was based in the Cyberpunk 2020 universe, which that's been around a long time. Yeah. It wasn't just the big video game that came out. You know, it's a whole tabletop RPG and stuff like that. Yeah,
I've seen like books for it before.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the lead owners of Megacrit was like, he was such a fan of Netrunner, he actually ran a community website for it that people that still play it. And so when they were making Slay the Spire, he was tapping into that community to play test his game and see if things were balanced right and how things felt and how it worked, which I thought was really interesting. Like, I really like this game. I want you to try mine and help me make this as fun as we had playing Netrunner. And like, I think that's actually really a cool idea. You tap into people who love trading card games, you're going to get honest opinions back.
People with good experience with it.
Yeah,
they'll be able to tell you what works and what doesn't.
And another fun little note I saw was the approach for you progressing through the Spire with the branching pathways and random events happening was inspired by a game called FTL Faster Than Light, which is also a game I really like. That one you play as like you're in a spaceship and you're trying to deliver this message to the leader of like your militia or whatever as you're getting invaded. And you have to like, there's branching pathways. You got to fight pirates and drone ships and stuff like that. Our son and me both have played this game a lot, and it's really fun. And it's kind of fun to see like that actually was an influence for this game. It kind of makes me excited. I think that this game is definitely up your alley, and they have, I think, 4 characters now and maybe more with some DLC. I can't.
So what kind of characters are we talking about here?
The first one, this is the hard part.
Or you don't want to tell me. That's fine too.
No. It's one.
I'm just wondering, like, what kind of world am I going into? Is it like a, ranger bard paladin kind of thing? Is it
I would call it
what kind of world is
more
this?
like a dark fantasy than high fantasy.
Like elves and things? Demons?
Yeah, more like demons. I think
Heroes of Might and Magic?
kind of in that vein, because like the first character I think is like he's got demon blood in him, and like that affects, and he's got this sword. You get like a artificer kind of guy eventually, cool. You know. So it's kind of this dark vibe, and yeah, you're just trying to fight these monsters up through the floor, and everybody's got a different like special ability that they start with.
Sure.
But as you play, just like Inscyption, and especially Monster Train, like the more runs you make, even if you fail,
the better stuff you unlock.
Yeah, you unlock more cards and more
excited.
characters. So I think like this is just right up your alley as what I've experienced. You love a deck builder game.
Yep.
You love a roguelite, and I think this is just that match made in heaven that you can just run in, come jump on the Xbox or the PC, whatever, do a couple runs, and then you can go on. Or it'll get you for 8 runs, because that's how these games work sometimes when you're playing them, because it's just so fun. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I had a second where I'm like, why 8? What are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, you mean like you get stuck and you just keep playing. I gotcha.
Yeah, like, you were playing Inscyption and you're like, no, why would you make me play this? And then you played it like every day for a week and a half straight because it got you that good. I think that was your first experience to this kind of game, and it got you that hard. But you did play Monster Train a lot as well.
I really like Monster Train too. I love the characters in that one, and the art, and like you said, the story in itself is just fun for your imagination.
Yeah, right. You know? And I love getting that synergy combos. Like you mix that up,
is
and
so
it
satisfying.
Feels so good. But this one is tough, because like I think this is my difference between Slay the Spire and Monster Train for me. Monster Train is a mix between using your cards and summoning monsters.
Yeah.
Slay the Spire is you're just your guy, and you got to make it work. Like you got to figure out what with your cards. So it's more about using your abilities in tandem to make sure you survive. But like every character is different, and you got to just figure out what works.
Woo!
So I'm going to keep it right here. We're going to jump right in. We're going to come right back. We're going to see how much Rose enjoyed or not, probably enjoyed, Slay the Spire.
Wouldn't it be funny if I just absolutely hated this one for some reason?
Oh, God.
Just come back all angry like, this sucks.
That actually... It would be so funny to me, because it'd be like, okay, why does this one suck? Because like when I was doing Monster Train research, some people are like, Monster Train sucks, Slay the Spire is better, and most of the other people are like, both are good. Like
I remember you saying that now,
and I don't know, like it's just cool. I like a mix between like the fan community having fun with the game and the people who developed it, and I think that's a good mix.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna stop jibber jabbering, and we're gonna move on, and we'll see you guys in a little bit. Bye. Bye. Hello and welcome back from the Spire and crazy whale monsters giving you buffs.
He's not a monster.
Doesn't he have like 6 eyes?
I don't think so. Maybe.
Well, he's in a tower friendly. Or a spire. So, well, I don't know. Anytime I see him, like I'm totally down for getting some like, yeah, boost my health, give me some relics or whatever. But like, there's something that just is a little off about him, and I'm not sure what.
There's something off about everybody and everything in the Spire.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Oh, let's hear about your adventures. Let's hear about your opinions.
All right. Well, so it was pretty fun starting out. Started as the Ironclad. That's the first choice that you get. It's the Ironclad and the Silent. You have to unlock the last 2 characters. Mm-hmm. Ironclad is kind of like your basic knight in shining armor kind of character, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So first run, I start out and I'm kind of learning like what cards you're going to get and what you get to do with them. And I got decently far.
Yeah, your first run was, I think you made it through, I think you died at the second boss. Yeah.
Died. started it up again and beat it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
And you were sitting there like, this is bullshit.
I know.
And I was like, I'm a roguelike card deck builder gamer, baby.
Yep.
This is what I do.
All that prep work with Inscyption and Monster Train, and you come in second run and like, I'm going all the way.
I know how
I
to
don't need
do
these
this.
unlocks.
I know how to do this now. So we found a secret hidden talent I have. I am geared for roguelike deck building games.
Yeah.
That is my jam. Which is kind of nice. It feels good to feel good at a game.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'd say Tetris. Tetris, you're also really good at.
Yeah. Well, not if you play online.
Well,
Way
yeah,
better.
there's the professional people, but you're still really good at it. There's a...
Well, no.
Oh,
Man, I don't know.
take a compliment, Rose.
No, haven't you seen that stuff? Like, you go Tetris Effect online, and like, I actually don't know how some people move the blocks as fast as they do. It's crazy. I am decent at Tetris, I will say that, but I'm not the best or even close.
You're better than me, and I'm pretty good at most video games, so...
I'm glad opposites attract. No matter what, we're going to beat the world. So that was pretty fun. And I was hooked pretty much right away. I was like, ooh, I love this game.
Yep.
I enjoy the characters, the bosses, and the layout. But the main thing that kind of shocked me at first, and I kind of had to stop and have an argument with you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is just like Monster Train. Monster Train is just like this game. It looks just like this game. How was this legal for Monster Train to be here? And you had to kind of re-explain to me how Monster Train was inspired by this and by that community and everything.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Another gaming podcast I listened to actually had kind of a minor discussion talking about this, because if you go onto Steam, you're going to find a ton of deck building roguelites that are, almost carbon copies of Slay the Spire, like far worse than Monster Train. Monster Train, I believe, has enough differences with you're summoning monsters essentially to play, and then after every battle, you're not like having this path laid out for you that you kind of have to like pick as you go. It's more of like you got to pick which upgrades you want to go for or chances for stuff, and then another battle. So like there is some randomness and some choice, but it's not like exactly quite like Slay the Spire. And anytime I think of Slay the Spire, I think more like the first act in Inscyption is a lot like that. You have that specific path that you can kind of you pick where you go as you go up it, right? So I think that it's this thing where you could call every first person shooter, oh, it's just like Halo, it's just like Call of Duty, it's just like Battlefield, but they all have this different vibe, this different feel, and it's basically it's the genre, and Slay the Spire is one of the first ones to really make it big, and that's why people always come back to and compare it to that.
Well, it wasn't so much like, I understand what you're saying there, because if you have a similar gameplay style, there's, like you said, between first person shooters, I understand that. It wasn't that I so much had a problem with. I was surprised at the way the cards looked. I was surprised at the way, like, you have interludes where you have a text block and you have to make a choice. And, like, that is so similar to the way Monster Train does it. Like, there's a lot of
events, yeah,
little similarities like that, where the look and the style of them are so similar that I was like, oh boy, that's a little...
Yeah.
But you did explain that in like the first half of this episode, and thinking about that, like the fact that they did like give them credit. And then we talked about the differences between Monster Train and Slay the Spire. And you brought up a really good point of the gameplay itself. And you said that one of the things that you like a little bit more about Monster Train is you're not working on one level, you're working on 3 levels at a time.
Yeah.
And actually, that was kind of a great point to bring up, because that does change things quite a bit in the way that you play the game.
Yeah.
So It's like you said, he took this idea, he really liked it, and he tweaked it and made it kind of his own. Mm-hmm. So I felt a little bit better about it then, because I honestly like both a lot. I had a moment where I was like, is this okay? Like,
yeah, and I get that.
I like you, Monster Train. Are you going to be all right?
I think that those are as different, actually, looking at it, as Pokemon is to my Slay the
I will
Spire.
say, like you said, the art style is very different.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fun. I enjoy both a lot. Like, Monster Train has some sick art.
Yeah, I just love the monster designs. I think there's
I
like
know.
It isn't like, yeah, you start out with like, this is the typical demon guys, but then you have like these like plant monsters, and the candle people are so cool. Like,
Yeah.
they have these very
You get
interesting.
the aquatic
Yeah,
ones too.
right. I thought that was really a cool idea.
Yes. And then Slay the Spire is a little more, oh gosh, I don't even know how you would describe the art in it. It's a little like, oh gosh, I don't want to say sillier, but you know, the enemies that you fight, like some of them are cultists, and they have like
The bird cultists.
yeah, they they caw, and they have like a little, oh gosh, like a staff in one hand, and then they usually have a bird head, and they're just kind of funny. And then you get like burglars that will steal your money, and you know, it is a completely different style of enemy and everything. Not quite so serious as what Monster Train kind of feels like.
Yeah,
The battling is serious, but
I would say
it doesn't have the intensity that Monster Train has.
it is unseriously serious, because
Yeah,
it has
thank
this
you.
vibe where it feels like this is important, like this is life or death. But you like look at all the designs, and it's like it's kind of feels like it's poking fun at the same time.
Yes.
Like, there's this joke here, nobody's in on it except for you who's looking in from the outside. And that's kind of the vibe. That's what it is.
And that makes it kind of fun.
Yeah,
Especially because it can get really challenging.
oh yeah, it does.
Especially, so as you play, if you beat it, no, not even if you beat it, you just earn points, and if you earn enough points, you start unlocking more cards that you can use for the character that you're playing with. And as you unlock those, like, it gets easier and easier, because they're usually decent cards that play off of whatever character you chose to play as their main stuff that they do. I really enjoy that about this game. But it's kind of fun when you go through and you're like, ooh, I got a good set here. And then you unlock like other cards at the very end that are even better. And it's like, oh my gosh, I had a run where I was like, I am unstoppable right now.
Yeah.
It feels so good. I talked a little bit about the Ironclad. So I played him, those 2 times, and I enjoyed it. And I'm like, okay, let's try the Silent. And that is more of a like poison dagger character.
Cloak and dagger. Yeah.
That is my favorite. It's all about poison and knives and shivs, and I just like the gameplay style. I love it. I love building decks because the cards for that character. There's a couple of really good sets that you can try to build that totally amplify everything, and I'm sure they're all like that, but this is the one that I played the most. For some reason, I just really clicked with it right away. And I beat the game 2 times as this character.
Nice.
It builds on itself so well, and you can just turn into a monster. Like, first turn, 60 damage done to the enemy, poisoned them like 12 times over, so that every successive turn is one less poison, but they're still taking that damage, 12 damage, 11 damage, 10 damage. You feel so powerful.
Countdown to death.
I love it. And then you have like, especially with this character, you can summon shivs that cost 0 points to use. And it's only like maybe 4 damage. But if you have the right cards and the right relics, you can up that damage to their 8 or 12 or, you slay.
I'm pretty
There's
sure.
no other way to say it.
I swear there was a relic that it either you started with 3 shivs in your hand, or every time you got a shiv, you got an extra shiv. So, like, if you got a card that gives you 3 shivs, you get 6 shivs. And, like, I made a deck for just, like, oh, all I have is cards that gives me shivs, and I just like have a handful of like I'm just like tossing them out like crazy.
Just the relics. Like I want to talk about those too. I want to talk about all the characters too, though. Just to keep going with that, like, so the silent, my favorite. It actually got kind of hard because I was like, okay, I need to try out the other two, but I just really wanted to keep playing as the silent because I'm enjoying it so much. I even did the daily challenge and won with that. I didn't score very high on the leaderboards, I think, but scoring points, like I had to kind of look up like, well, how do you score points? What do you? And actually the way I was playing was not scoring me the most points in the game.
Oh, really?
But it was making me win. You score points according to like how many enemies you fight against and what types they are, whether they're the mini bosses, things like that. I look at the map and the path coming up, especially right away when I'm choosing the main path, because most of the time I want to get to the merchant. Most of the time I am hoarding money as much as I can so that I can buy whatever relics or potions or cards that I want at the merchant if he has something good.
Yeah.
Because I like to have the control over my deck a little bit instead of just trying to pick from a random 3 and it might not be something you want. Most of the time I felt like they were good choices, but sometimes you get an awesome choice at the merchant, right?
Yeah.
Going to the merchant or trying to find a path with a lot of bonfires where you can rest, you're not fighting as many enemies, you're not making as many points. So that's not a good point-making way to beat the game, but it's a good way to stay alive and have a bomb-ass deck.
Yeah.
So, horse apiece, right?
Yeah, yep.
So I finally forced myself to try out the Defect. He's kind of like a robot style.
Automaton.
And yeah, the way he plays is completely different. The Ironclad and the Silent seem really like standard characters to play as. The Defect kind of threw me for a loop. You channel different orbs, and those have like a after effect after your turn. So if you channel a lightning orb, it'll do like some lightning damage at the end of your turn. I think it's interesting, and I ended up with cards where you could summon more orbs, and then there's different types, and then you get cards that are like, oh, different effects if you have multiple types of orbs going on. I got a relic where I could add like way more orbs than normal. There was cool stuff there. I need to try it again, and I want to, but I didn't click right away and as easily as the Silent did. It was a little bit harder to get into that
mindset.
Yeah.
I think the shift from Ironclad to Silent is an easier shift in like how they play.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they both, they play a little differently, but they both seem like really standard characters that you would do in these kind of games.
But yeah, I think that's what also makes it interesting, because you got like basically 2 types of ways to play kind of normally, and then you get this Ironclad, and it's like, oh, okay, now I got to think of like the special effect he has.
The defect.
Sorry. The defect. And yeah, it's like, okay, what orbs are going to be most useful to me and useful to the cards, and which ones do I want to keep going? And it adds like a whole nother level of strategy you're doing.
It's a different kind of strategy.
Yeah. It's like, it's not just about like, okay, how do I get cards that do enough damage and cards that give me the block I want? It's what cards also affect my orbs, which also affect, so.
Yeah, it gets a little hard to balance actually like attacking and doing things, or just using all your points on trying to beef up your orbs or do it. And so I don't know, when I playing the Silent, I'm good at making it so that like I'm upping the damage on my cards, and I'm getting more cards, and I'm getting free cards to use. I know how to make that build. And on the Defect, I was like, I bet you're not going to get high damage stuff. It's going to be all about a lot of low damage on your orbs, but trying to like maximize both of those as much as you can. And I guess that's just not my favorite way to play it. I love like hitting heavy.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying to me.
Let me do a Kamehameha wave, not 1,000 punches.
Yeah. But, you know, maybe I need to play it more. And I haven't unlocked extra cards for him or anything. So I definitely need to try it again, and I want to, because it was interesting. I think it's one of those things where you got to do it a little bit to get your brain to like settle into that path and to go with it. So then I unlocked the fourth character, which is called the Watcher, who's like kind of a monk style character. Her
the stances.
Yeah, her play style is like, again, completely different, and you have different stances that you enter, and like one is calm and one is what, Inferno, or
it's like Rage, or Berserk or something like that.
No, it's not Berserk. What was it? I don't remember now.
But it's something like Rage.
There's like three different stances, and then that basically. Gosh, her angry stance, I'm just going to go.
Yeah, call it the Hulk stance, where she doesn't get
She'll
bigger.
She'll do 2 times the damage, but you also take 2 times the damage.
Yeah, risky.
I don't like that. So I'm like, I don't want to use that ever. I did it once, and then I like forgot that I was also going to take twice as much damage, got hit, and I was like, oh no, I don't like that. No more, never again. So that is again, like a really different way to play. I quit that run. I was like, I got over, I was not enjoying it very much. I was like, this kind of sucks, but I think that's just me. I should probably try it again, but.
I think the calm stance was interesting because it doesn't do anything for you until you leave the stance, which is also like an
then you get 2
mechanic.
extra points for a turn to use, which is like, no offense, but on the silent, I can get that so easily in other ways where I get that like every 3rd turn or every other turn. Like, I don't know. That didn't impress me. That's all I'm saying. I was like, not enough of a buff for me. So I think that's the thing. Like, to me, the benefits of the different stances just didn't weigh out the disadvantages, and they didn't seem that advantageous. And I wasn't as interested in it.
That happens. Not every character's for everybody.
Well, maybe I need to try a little harder. Like I said, I didn't try very long, and I was like, I'd rather play as a silent. I'm going to quit this run. I'm not enjoying this.
The Watcher wasn't available the last time I played seriously, and so I actually haven't played as her, so the only experience I had was watching your short run that you made. But I do think it is cool to see how they all play so differently.
I do think that is really neat and impressive. It's nice that they have so many different play styles, actually. Even though there's only 4 characters to choose from, there is a big difference between them.
You know, and I just wanted to shout out this. If you play this game on Steam, I heard about a mod that's very interesting where you actually get to play as the bosses that you face in the game. And some people call it the like unofficial DLC of the game because like it opens up so many more runs with all these different other characters, and they all play different as well. Somebody put a lot of time and effort into this mod, which I just looked up. It's called the Downfall Expansion mod, and you play as these villains and you stop the Slayers instead, which is kind of really cool.
Some of the villains are pretty funny in this game, too.
Yeah.
Like the giant slime with the top hat.
Yeah, I like the big, bulky knight guy, and he has his like tiny little crown on top of his helmet. like we said, unseriously serious.
Yes. So then the relics is a cool thing to bring up in this game. Now, again, like you kind of get stuff like that in Monster Train, but nowhere near the amount that you can get in Slay the Spire.
Oh, yeah.
I love this part of Slay the Spire. A lot of them are double-edged swords, too, or cursed items. You're going to lose something to get something, and you have to make that choice of, is it going to be worth it? But, man, there's still a lot of them that are just awesome buffs, and they can really change how your game is going and how you're going to play. And if you have the right cards that are going to work with the right relics, it really makes you explosive.
Yeah.
That makes it so much fun.
That's really the
I think
cool
if you
thing.
get a good, few relics, you're kind of guaranteed, like, as long as you're not an idiot, you can make it through this.
Yeah.
As long as you don't misplay and mess up, you're gonna win.
It does really feel like that. It is kind of cool, just the wide variety. And also it depends on what build you're going for in the deck. Because you kind of like, after about 3 or 4 battles, you get a few cards, you're kind of like, okay, I kind of see... Like
this is where it's leaning.
Yeah, I see this path that I'm forming, especially if you've played before, you know what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, here's your choice of relics. And sometimes you just get that perfect relic that's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it goes in perfectly. But it really feels like you kind of get a lot of relics that are like just these little bumps, little boost. But then you get them really beefy boys that can make or break a run that is a double-edged sword. You're going to lose something to gain all this goodness. Mm-hmm. But if you do it right, it's worth it. And I think one of the more interesting one was, what's that eye? The
Snecko eye.
The Snecko eye. It just completely randomizes all your card costs from then on. So on one hand, they'll be 0 or 1. Like you'll get these like 3 cost cards that are super cheap, that are super strong. And then the next turn, it's like all your cards cost 3 and you can play 1 card. So it makes it so chaotic.
Well, especially depending on what you have in your deck. Like I said, like if you're playing the silent, you can make it so that you have a lot of like 0 cost cards in your deck. Mm-hmm. And then getting that Snecko eye and them all being randomized can be very frustrating when you pull cards and some of them are supposed to cost 0 and now one costs 1 point, one costs 0, one costs 3. Like it is completely random every time. It's kind of like you said, it can work out really well or it can be terrible. Another one I got like made it so that I started out confused every fight, which... Or, no, that's what it was.
That was the Snecko eye, confused. That's
okay,
what the status effect does. Yep.
Never mind.
There's so many. I stole it from you.
There's so many that, like, yeah, it's hard to keep track. I couldn't even guess how many relics there are in this game because I was still finding new ones.
Oh yeah, what was the happy little flower? That one.
That gives you an extra skill point every 3 turns, I think.
Yeah. Which is funny because I can't tell if I'm pretty sure it's like an alluding to like Plants vs. Zombies and the sunflowers in that one because like it's soaking up the sun and now you get a point. But it also reminds me of Undertale's kind of villain, the flower. So like you kind of get this cool little like, oh, here's a little hint to another video game. And I think that's always interesting when they do that.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun, as long as they're not mean ones. Like I said, there's some mean ones.
Yeah, there are. Mm-hmm. It's always hard. Like when you beat the big boss, you get a choice of 3 relics.
Yes,
and I think I saw you one time.
They're usually curveball ones. That you're gonna pay for them one way or another.
Yeah. And then you're like, I don't want any of these. Yep. Which one's the one I want? The least or it's like it's hard to pick.
Yeah.
Oh, so fun. Oh.
So I enjoyed that part of it too. Mm-hmm. I beat the game a couple times, which was exciting for me. And
more than me, so I mean, you got me there.
Yeah. I feel special.
You are special. In the best way.
Stop it.
Anything else you really wanted to like talk about that you liked? I always want to give you one last chance before we move on to stuff that
I don't know. I mean, I would say like a full run can take like a little over an hour. So it's a little bit longer, but you can save, luckily.
Yeah, mid-run, which is very nice.
I know. I appreciate that so much. Minnie.
Hi, kitty cat. Oh, kitty cat attack.
I'm kind of glad, like, I started this game up and I liked it right away. I didn't have that initial, oh my gosh, I hate everything. What am I doing? I don't know what buttons to press.
Yeah.
It was very easy for me to jump into. Like I said, I've learned roguelites are my things in deck builder games. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's my sweet
Now,
spot.
I do have one more deck builder game tucked into my list of video games I'm going to eventually have you try, and it'll be interesting to see what you think of that one, because there are some different twists to that too, and it's just kind of fun. Now you got like this such a good baseline for these style of games.
Yeah, it makes it so easy. Like Inscyption was so hard at first.
Yeah.
That first time I played it was killer, but like going to this game the first time I play and like getting as far as I did, and then second run just beating it, I was like, Inscyption did this to me.
Yeah.
You made this of me.
You hardened me like steel, Inscyption.
I totally know what to do here. Like, it's nice.
It's so good. I love it.
It's fun to see this, especially because Monster Train was so inspired by it. And I know people argue about which one is better. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I would say one is better than the other. I really enjoy both of them a lot. I think I'd love to just keep playing both of them.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a favorite.
I really do have a tendency to jump between them as I have time. I think just for me, I have a personal preference towards Monster Train, and I think that's just how it's built out and how it plays. But like, that's just a personal preference. I can see both of these are very good games, and if you even think you like a deck builder game, these are like top two you should try for sure. Mm-hmm. So I already know you're going to play this again, because you just literally said it.
Do it again right now.
I bet. We've been talking about it. But what do you give a rating for this at the end?
I would say like 8 out of 10.
Good, solid game.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really know what I'd change about it or anything, but for some reason, I don't feel like it deserves a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. But I can't really pinpoint and put my finger on why.
I know what you mean, because even though you really enjoy a game and you really want to play it again, I feel like there's a few areas it could get a slightly more polish, but it's not really about the core. The core is great and it works. But like, I think there's just that feeling. There's just a little bit more.
Maybe if there was a little more to it overall, even like you said, they did add another character since you were playing a lot. Like, that's great. It feels like if it was maybe bigger, I could go like 9, 10. This is going to keep you busy for forever. Maybe that's what it is. Like, this doesn't feel like a game that'll keep you busy for forever. It does feel like a game that you'll come back to over and over throughout years, but you're not going to get the playtime out of it that you would with other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess with the sole exception, if you're one of those people that just get attached to one game and can replay it over and over again.
And that's me. That's
fair. That's fair. Like, that's what this is all about. It's like, this is how it makes you feel and what you think it should be. Like, that's the point. We all have our different reasons, you know. So
I love it though. It's really fun. I like that you get to choose your path. I like the different characters. I like the gameplay. It's so funny how like turn-based style things really get me sometimes, and sometimes I really fucking hate them.
Okay, here's a curious thought I just had. So you've had 3 different deck builder style games: Inscyption, Monster Train, and Slay the Spire, right? And
Inscyption's still number 1, baby. But there's so much variety in that one.
Which one do you think would be more ideal for someone starting? Like even someone that might not play a lot of games, like which one of those do you think would be the easiest entry point into this style of game? It's a tough one, folks.
Probably not Inscyption, or they might freak out like I did. If I'm being honest.
They do make you feel really bad about sacrificing your own animals to get better ones.
Well, they do give you a feeling of punishment when you lose that like isn't actually there, but you have to learn that. Like, you have to go through it to find that out.
Yeah.
It makes you feel really bad.
Yeah.
And also that one does have like more complicated deck builds, I feel. Especially when you get into Act 2. and Act 3.
Yeah, changes
Most
it up a lot.
especially Act 2. If I don't know, I would say that would depend on the person and like what aesthetic would get them the most, honestly. But I think Inscyption's probably the hardest. Mm-hmm. I think Monster Train and Slay the Spire are easier to start off. And at that point, I would just go like, which one looks cooler to you, this or this? I would say the easiest one to start and get going would probably be Slay the Spire.
That's how I feel too. Just because I only have this one character to worry about, and I just got to worry about playing my hand the best way possible.
Because even Monster Train, it's not that it's complicated, but to improve, you have to kind of have some knowledge about how to get there.
Yeah, I think Monster Train has a lot more of you're setting up your floors with the monster. So it's like, are you playing your magic cards to do damage, or are you playing your monster cards to build up your defense? And I think there's like an extra layer there that might become a little overwhelming at first. I think Slay the Spire is like, this is just my character, and I got to worry about
Monster Train is pretty much the same thing, but times 3 every round. So,
yeah,
that's a good point. I mean, just genuinely, it makes sense to start them off with Slay the Spire, I
think
guess.
so too as well.
I like how you did me absolutely backwards with Inscyption, then Monster Train, and now Slay the Spire.
Yeah. Well, okay. Excuse me.
Because you're a cruel person.
Yeah, I'm so cruel.
Deep down inside.
I think when I made you play Inscyption, it had just come out recently, and it was so good. I'm like, I thought the aesthetic of the game, I'm like, Rose is gonna think this looks cool, and once she gets the card game down, it'll be really good. And I think the hardest part about Inscyption was the roguelite aspect. Like, you're gonna die.
That was my first one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was tough. And then once you had that, I'm like, I was playing Monster Train. I'm like, oh, if she loves Inscyption, she's going to love Monster Train. And I kind of spaced on Slay the Spire at that point. I kind of ended up playing more Slay the Spire after our Monster Train episode. And I was like, oh yeah, I can kind of like squeeze this in sometime because she's got this format down. So it is kind of funny that I went that way, but I really just wanted to talk to someone about Inscyption because it's like, I need someone to experience this so I can talk to them about it because it's so cool. Like the vibe and like the ending, like everything, it's so interesting. And I think it stemmed a little bit more from a selfish need to talk about this game with someone, but also I was like, I know Rose pretty well. If she just gives this a chance, I think she'll really like it. So I'm glad it turned out right, and I'm glad you didn't smother me in my sleep. And it all worked out. But so I was gonna. Honorable mentions. You haven't played anything else but Slay the Spire, really, right?
No.
You snuck in a little Northgard with our son.
Oh yeah, I did. I just one time, quick.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to finish the game, honestly. I had to go cook dinner, but nothing super new there that I got to talk about.
Yeah.
Just doing our thing.
Just Northgard's a good game.
Getting our butt kicked, you know. I did forget to mention last time I talked about Pokemon Violet and Scarlet that I got to hear the Ed Sheeran song.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
It's pretty milk toast.
Yeah.
Fine.
It's okay.
It's nice and generic and happy and stuff.
Well, I mean,
would not care to ever hear it again, but I did hear it. I wanted to let you know.
Yeah, I think I remember listening to it. Like there was a release on YouTube.
It's fine.
And I think I had the same thing.
He's not exactly like my go-to when I'm trying to jam anywhere.
I like some of his songs, but that's not my everyday jam.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What was I missing?
You've been doing stuff.
I've been doing all sorts of stuff. Light Your Frontier. That's kind of the big one that came out on early access, and it's basically
a Buzz Lightyear game.
No. Though that could be interesting. It is actually a farming simulator, and it kind of gives Slime Rancher vibes almost.
Yeah, but robots.
Yeah, but you're in a mech, so you drive this like old Chevy looking a bipedal robot, and you like clean up the areas on this planet, and you set up your farm, and there's no like, oh, nighttime comes and you got to defend your farm from, monster aliens. No, it's just a very chill, relaxing experience, and like it's fun. They do have shooting, but it's seeds. You get your seeds and you just fire them into the ground, which is satisfying. So at least you're shooting something with this mech. And it is only an early access. I've gotten as far as the story has right now, and so I think I'm just kind of waiting for more content to come out.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed what they have, and I'm excited to see more for sure. That was the big one, and I'll talk about the other one, next episode. So after I get more time into it.
Oh, not because of. You're not trying to sneak attack me, are you?
I'm not trying to sneak.
I swear to God.
I'm not trying to sneak.
I'm not doing that.
Oh, you say that, and like
I'm not doing it.
There's a part of me that's like, I should just make it happen.
Not doing it.
I'm gonna do it. No, I would not. I'm not gonna do that to you.
Sometimes you play things, and it makes me nervous because I look at it and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, there's, I still got to sneak in Elden Ring at some point.
Oh my gosh.
I still think about that, but there's a right time and place for it. There's the ideal time to do it, and I'm not so mean that I'm just gonna like
in 100 years when I'm finally a good gamer, I'm gonna be dead before then. Yeah. Resurrect my ghost.
Yeah. If this podcast is going 100 years from now, it's
we're going to be 80 and you're still going to be like, hey, you should try this new one out. And I'll be like, gosh, just leave me alone to my knitting.
Let me knit. Let me make glass.
I have so many things I like to do.
Oh, yeah. Though I will say, if you want to see some cool glass Pokemon or a glass dragon, Rose has made some cool stained glass items. If you jump over on our TikTok, you can check some of those out. And I'm very excited about this, especially this Squirtle that you made for me. It is amazing, and I love it. I got to figure out where I'm going to put it when I put my monitor back there, but I want it somewhere over here so I can see it all the time. That's the important thing. But I think that's it. Anything else? You're good? We're going to get out of here. I want to say thank you to our listeners. I appreciate you so much. And if you have any cool ideas or anything you want to see Rose play, throw a comment down on the video on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Run over to YouTube. Run anywhere. There's a lot of places in TikTok. Just let me know, and I will seriously take your considerations. And I want to thank Brother Ray for our caricatures. I love them, and they're my favorite. They're always my favorite. And I want to say I'm Matt.
I'm Rose.
And this has been Co-ople Mode. You keep gaming with your bestie. Ta-ta!